Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this special Make a Will Month webinar, Harnessing the Power of Your Will. As you know, because you're here, August is National Make a Will Month, and it's a great time to be thinking about and taking important steps to plan for your future. And your thoughtful decision to create a will or update your will can ensure security for you and your family, your pets, and create an enduring legacy that can reflect your lifelong values. So before we jump in, though, we have, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Mary Catherine Hinds. I'm the Senior Director of Fundraising Strategy for Church World Service. And with me is Chris Brancato, our Director of Individual Giving for Church World Service. We're both grateful to have you on here and to share these tips and are a resource to you in the future if you have questions about making your will. We also have a very important person in the background, Heather Wilson, who is our webinar specialist and guru. And so, Heather, are there any housekeeping items that we need to know or the folks need to know for our time today?
I simply like them to know that this is recorded and they will get the link to it, and they're welcome to share it with anybody else who needs some tips on doing a will. And then also, if you look down, I believe it's on your right-hand side, there should be a box labeled questions. If you type questions in there, I see them, and you can do that as Mary Catherine and Chris are talking and as you think of them, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end.
Terrific. Thanks, Heather. So we'll just jump right in. So in addition to sharing with you some tools about planning your legacy today, we found that many of our donors have been surprised to learn just how beneficial stock giving can be for tax savings and the impact they want to have. So we thought, why don't we also share with you a little bit more about some of the other tools that Church World Service has launched to help donors. So we'll talk about writing a will, but also talk about a couple of these other tax-savvy ways to give. Now, I want to preface that Chris and I both shared our titles, or I shared both of our titles, and we are fundraisers for Church World Service. We are not tax attorneys or estate attorneys. So we're going to share with you kind of some of the tools that we provide and some of the information that we know, but we really encourage you in any of these big decisions to talk to your trusted advisors. So these tools will help you get to a spot to make some great decisions, but we also always want to encourage you to reach out to those trusted advisors. We know that Church World Service supporters have generous hearts and care deeply about many causes, but not everyone knows about some of the more tax-savvy ways that you can give, like giving stock and bonds, and how those gifts can really transform communities. Whether that's for CWS or your alma mater or your faith community, we want to make sure that you know the ways that you can give more effectively to us or to any nonprofit that you care about, and so you can have an even bigger impact.
Thank you, Mary Catherine, and thank you all for joining us today and everything that you do throughout the year for Church World Service. Through a will, you can appoint guardians for your children, designate beneficiaries for your life insurance, and even specify care for your pets. You can also outline how your estate will be divided, ensuring your family is provided for while also leaving a lasting legacy with the charities that matter most to you. Imagine a world where your values continue to make a difference long after you're gone. Legacy giving offers a unique opportunity to extend your impact, ensuring the causes that you care about are supported for generations to come. And if you're on this call today or watching this later, it's likely that you're already a champion for CWS, a donor, a volunteer, a crop walk leader, or an advocate. And you know that our organization's resilience and continued impact, even in changing times, is a reflection of the solid foundation we're built on and the trusted stewardship that guides our efforts. For over 78 years, thanks to your support, CWS has been a pillar of hope and support, saving and transforming countless lives. And as we continue on with this presentation today, please know how deeply grateful we are for the legacy you have already helped build. Mary Catherine?
Thanks. So Church Will Service has partnered with an organization called Free Will, very clever name. And Free Will has provided 3 new tools that can help you to plan your charitable giving and your legacy. The first and the flagship tool that they created is this free will writing tool. And it's a service that creates a legally binding will at no cost to you. So this first tool here at freewill.com/CWS, and you can see what it looks like when you log on here on the screen. You click that little Get Started Now button, and it takes less than 20 minutes to write your legally valid will. So what you do is you answer the questions, you fill it out online, then you print out your forms. And so the questions you answer online will print the forms out with all of the legal precise language that you need, and it will provide you with a printable will. Then once you print it out, you to make it official, you then sign and initial the document in person with witnesses. And there's information in there about who's an eligible witness and who isn't. And then once you've done that, you can put it somewhere safe, and it'll be accessible to you and to your family for years to come.
Thank you. And you also have the option to establish a free revocable living trust. And this is a powerful estate planning tool that allows you to minimize the costs and delays associated with the probate process, ensuring your wishes are carried out seamlessly and privately at no cost at all to you. There are a couple of reasons why you might consider creating a revocable living trust. Number 1, to avoid probate. By setting up a trust, you can bypass the costly fees and lengthy delays associated with the probate process, allowing your assets to be distributed more efficiently. Number 2, to protect your privacy. A trust allows you to leave your assets to your heirs without subjecting them to public proceedings, preserving your family's privacy. Number 3, to make a plan together. You can create a trust jointly with your spouse or your partner, ensuring mutual protection and providing for your children and other beneficiaries. There are a couple of steps to set up this revocable living trust that you can do through Free Will. And number 1, simply fill out the form online. It only takes about 20 minutes for you to complete the necessary information for your revocable living trust. Number 2, print out the forms. Once complete, print your documents and review them carefully to ensure they accurately reflect your wishes. Number 3, sign and transfer assets. Finally, sign the forms to make them official and follow the provided instructions to transfer your assets into the trust. It's that easy.
So for both of these, creating a traditional will or a revocable trust, it's super easy. I did this myself. You click Get Started, you put in your name and your address, and it starts asking questions. Like here you can see on the left hand of the screen, asked me, did I have any children? What are their names? What are the ages of them? It'll ask you your assets, and do you work with a professional financial advisor? So you can put in your advisor's name. This is great. In addition to, you can talk to your advisor about it, but it's also great that you've left that information for your family members in case they didn't already know who your financial advisor is. It walks you through everything for, do you have pets, and who do you want to take your pet if something happens? And at one point it'll ask you, would you like to designate a charity to receive a portion of your estate or to be the beneficiary of your life insurance? And you can put in, and now if you use the Church Will Service Free Will, you can still put in your alma mater, you can put your church, you can put CWS. It's not required that you choose CWS or that you choose anyone, but we hope that you will consider us. And I will say, at the end of both of these, like Chris and I both said, you just print it out and sign it, and easy peasy. I will say that at any stage, we hope that you will consult with your financial advisor. And one of the things that we've said is that free will is a great way to pair with your attorney. In particular, if you've got an especially large estate or children with special needs or some other complicated family dynamics, you probably would want to seek some additional legal advice. But what this free will process can do for you is it can save you time and money, and that you can go ahead and answer all these questions and get your information to a certain point so that you're saving all that money you spend on your hours with your attorney or a financial advisor is spent on the next steps and reviewing what you've already pulled together. So, and at any point you can share this information with your advisors or just send them the link, and they can also do the work for you faster, which saves you money. So yeah, so that's another great way another great reason to use this tool. So we'll pop over to some questions.
Yeah, so some frequently asked questions that we have gotten before. You might be wondering, why and how is free will free? And is it truly free for me as a donor and somebody looking to create my will? And yes, it is free, and it's free to you because it's supported by nonprofit organizations like CWS, like Church World Service. Many of the individuals who create their will using free will choose to leave a portion of their estate to charity, to us, and we hope that you'll choose to do the same, and that's how it benefits the user, the nonprofit organization, and the company Free Will. Rest assured, a note that's important to so many: free will never sells your personal data to third parties, and they're committed to data security, and we're more than happy to share their privacy policy with you if you have further questions about the security of your data, of your documents, of your information that you're sharing through the site. We're here to work with you and to ease any of those qualms that you may have. Do I need a will? We believe so. A will is essential for everyone, regardless of the size of your estate. It's a way to ensure that your loved ones, the people who you care about, and the causes that you care about are supported according to your wishes. And it furthermore spares your loved ones the stress and cost associated with probate proceedings later. So we believe that everybody does, regardless of the size of your estate. Another question that comes up is, does free will offer other end-of-life planning documents? And yes, it does. And I know that they're continuing to evolve and grow and offer more, but they also offer an advanced healthcare directive. They offer durable financial power of attorney, and it can further help you with your estate planning. Can I change my will is something that comes up regularly, and absolutely, life changes, your circumstances change, and your wishes evolve over time. So if you need to make any changes, you can absolutely create a new will to replace your old one. Simply sign the new will with witnesses. Remember to destroy the previous version to avoid any confusion. And we're here to answer any other questions that you have along the way.
Great. So that's creating your free will or your free revocable trust, both critical tools in making sure you've accounted for your wishes. But then, since we've got you and we're thinking about smart ways to plan, we want to share just a little bit about some of the other two tools that free will provides for free. We have a IRA donation tool and a stock donation tool. So when you're ready, you can go online and initiate a stock transfer or what's called a qualified charitable distribution from your individual retirement account. And so you may have a special passion for a specific part of the CWS mission, or perhaps you want to designate for maybe a local CWS office or a particular program area. Maybe you want to give a stock gift that supports water programs or a local crop hunger walk. These tools are so important for us to know your intention. So if you wanted to donate stock to CWS or to make a distribution from your IRA, if you don't use this tool, oftentimes you'll go to your financial advisor and you'll say, release that stock or transfer that stock, and in the process of that going through all the different ways, it gets to us without any information about your designation. But if you use our tool, when you go through and initiate that transfer, it will ask you, what are your wishes to do with the stock? What are your wishes with that QCD? And so in just a few minutes or less, maybe 10 minutes or less, you can let us know exactly what you want to do, how you want us to use those gifts. Just like with the will writing tool, you fill out the paperwork and then print the final copy after you've answered the questions, sign it, and you mail it in. Both the giving from your IRA and designating a stock, they both take about 10 minutes to do, and we've worked really hard to streamline that process. So you can complete the forms entirely online, or you can print them out and do it by hand at your own pace. You could also send the link to your financial advisor and let them do all the work. We understand that donating stocks and IRAs may be new to you, and just want to stress, like Chris did before, we understand that safety and security are really important, and remember that all your information is encrypted throughout this entire process when you use either of these tools.
Thanks, MC. And we're seeing more and more supporters give to us each and every year by donating shares of stock instead of cash, or in addition to current giving mechanisms. And they're pleasantly surprised to learn that by doing so, the donor can avoid capital gains tax and make an even larger impact on our mission. Furthermore, the donor you can receive a state and federal income tax deduction for the full present value of the stock. So when you sell your stock that is appreciated in value, you're required to pay capital gains tax on the amount you've earned above the purchase price. Additionally, state income taxes often apply. However, when you donate stock directly to CWS, if you're passionate about a crop hunger walks, you can avoid both of these taxes entirely. So by donating stock, you're avoiding all capital gains taxes. You're maximizing your tax benefits, and you're enabling us to make a greater difference in the lives of those who we serve.
Yeah, and I will say, I know some of our donors have stock certificates and they don't know they don't have proof of what they paid for them. So they don't have the cost basis. So they're basically going to have to pay on all of it. And so it's great if you don't know the cost basis of that stock, you can donate it and then you don't have to pay any of those gains. Especially if you know that you bought it, that you've had actually a loss on it, you don't want to have to pay more than that. But anyway, so what about your IRA? So again, for those who don't know, an IRA is an individual retirement account, and you can make what's called a qualified charitable distribution, so a QCD, from your IRA. Sometimes people call these rollover gifts. Basically, it means that the money's transferred directly from your IRA account to a nonprofit. And you can give up, last I checked, you can give up to $100,000 annually from your IRA. So when you put money in your IRA, it's pre-taxed. So you have to pay taxes on that money when it comes out. That's called a distribution. The only way to not have to pay taxes on that money that comes out is if you roll it over to a charity. So and normally when you take money out of your IRA, it counts towards your taxable income. And so you also have the tax burden of paying a higher tax bracket because you've got more income, unless you roll it over into a nonprofit. So QCDs are a great way to help you avoid paying higher taxes, and a good way. And the way I've talked about it, like I've talked to my mom about this, like, so when you're a certain age, when you're I think it's 72 now, you have, yeah, when you're 72, you have a required minimum distribution. So you have a certain amount you have to take. Well, if you've got to take that out, wouldn't it be better to roll some of your money over to a charity and not pay on it than to write a check to that charity and then have to pay taxes on what you pull out of your IRA? But anyway, to do this, there are a couple of requirements. That you have to be over 70 and a half years old. So if you're under 70, make note of this for the future. Or if you know someone who is over 70 and a half, make sure they know that they can do this, so they can make a charitable gift from their IRA. And it's a traditional IRA. So if you have a 403B, those aren't, you can't make charitable distributions from them. Then Roth IRAs are eligible, but they're already tax-free. So it's probably not as, I mean, you can still do it, but it's not as tax beneficial because you've paid your taxes on your Roth IRA. So what are some of the benefits? So I talked a little bit about, you have this required minimum distribution. So that's a really big reason. So you have to, at the end of each year, or each year, you have to take money out of your retirement account if you're 72 or if you turn 70 and a half before January of 2020. And so the amount that each person has to take out is determined by the fair market value of your IRA at the end of the previous year, factored by your age and life expectancy. And so there's a formula that the US government has, and your financial planner probably works with you and says, this is your specific RMD, so your required minimum distribution. If you don't take that required minimum distribution, you will be taxed at 50% penalty tax. So it behooves you to take out the total amount that's required. You don't want to leave it in there, because then you'll have to pay higher taxes on it. Then if you take it out, you're paying like a 37% federal income tax on it. That's kind of the normal average amount that's charged. So you save money by taking out your maximum. But if it's more than what you need for your life and your other life goals and your expenses, then that's a great place to then designate for a charity. And to roll that over, transfer directly to the charity. So it's a win-win, because it helps you meet that requirement, but also helps the organizations that matter the most to you. So like I said, if you're watching this and you're thinking, this is great, but I'm not 70, well, make notes for later, and also talk to those who are over 70 and encourage them to, if they do want to make a big gift to Church World Service or some other organization, to first look at how much do I have left in that minimum distribution that I need to take this year, and would that be good to transfer directly to CWS versus cutting a check for myself and then writing the check to CWS. A lot there, but hopefully I wasn't too off. And we have one other tip. So Chris, I'm gonna pop this slide back up to show this last little tip.
Thank you very much. So we're sharing here the different links so you can see, and we'll also drop these in the chat, and we'll send out an email after our presentation concludes, as well as archive this presentation for the future. So if you want to go back and watch it and learn how you can write your will, or some of the other ways that you can give, they'll all be here. But we have, again, sharing these links in one place, our will writing tool, and then the different tools if you are considering a gift of stock, an IRA distribution, a donation from our donor advised funds, from your donor advised fund, or even through cryptocurrency. Free Will can help you execute that easily and successfully. So there are those different tools there. Again, will writing, stock donation, IRA, and then our Smart Giving guide and our Smart Giving platform, which helps with donor advised funds and cryptocurrency donations. So again, we're just so deeply appreciative of your commitment to CWS, and thank you for your time today, and here to answer any further questions that you may have.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so lots there. Heather, do we have any questions that have come in?
I am here, and I do have a couple. You mentioned that you print it and you have witnesses sign. Do you know anything about witnesses? They probably shouldn't be a member of your close family. Do you know who they recommend?
Yeah, it can't be anybody who is listed in your will, anyone who would benefit from your will. If you've got anybody that's listed as a beneficiary of your life insurance policy, any of those folks, they could not be. So a neighbor, a family friend, someone who has no vested interest in your estate, those would be the appropriate witnesses.
And this is more of a comment. This is a great tool to have and to share with maybe some of our younger donors who maybe can't give to us right now, but need that will and eventually will amend that will to give to us.
Yeah, I mean, we often say our supporters from 18 to 88, it's important to have a will, and this is great because it's free. So I think about all those folks who are just starting out, just had kids, are thinking, oh, we need to have something official. If something happens to us, who's going to have the kids? This is an easy, free way for them to document their wishes and fill it out, sign it, and stick it in your.
It's never too early, Mary Catherine, Heather, to start thinking about the future and to make your will. So if you have children or grandchildren who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and who may not be thinking about this right now, this is a great tool for them.
Yep. And I never thought, until we started looking at this, I never thought about pets. Like, it's important to, I mean, what if something happens and
I've thought about pets because I have a dog that I don't want him to just go somewhere. I want him to go to our son if something should happen. So pets are for definitely pets. Can you set up a recurring IRA donation? Is that something you guys would know?
You can. I don't know that we have anyone who's doing that now, but yes, you can. You just need to, you just need to set it up with your, you can identify that in the tool, and we can work with you, or your financial advisor can work with you to set that up, to just make sure that happens. You can do monthly or annually. Most people who do that do an annual UCD.
Okay, and then the last question is, you said 75 and a half, it starts going up that you have to take out, but then you also mentioned 72. So yeah. Is it for some people 70 and a half, and then the federal government has now made it 72? And then to clarify, either age, the best thing to do is, if you have that kick up, is to let it come from your accounts, not to you, then write a check.
Exactly. So 70 and a half is the minimum age you can be in order to transfer funds from your IRA to a charity. So if you're 70 or 69, you can't do that yet. You're gonna have to wait. But once you hit 70 and a half, you're eligible to make a transfer from your IRA to a charity. At 72, that's when you start having that required minimum distribution, where you have to take money out. So from like 70 and a half, well, up until 72, you can just keep leaving money in your IRA. It just keeps growing and growing. But at 72 and a half, the US government says, okay, you can't keep stockpiling. You're gonna have to take money out, and they tell you how much you have to take out. So at any point between 70 and a half on, if you're taking money out of your IRA, it's best to, and you wanna give a charitable gift, it's best to take it out of your IRA directly to the charity versus taking it out to yourself and writing a check to the charity. You save on your taxes, and you have less taxable income to pay when you pay your income tax.
Well, that was all the questions, but I do have to say, on a personal note, I have found this very interesting because this is not always things that your parents share with you, and it's things you can share with your parents to see if they're doing it. And so I have gotten a great education from this. And my mom and dad, last time I saw them, did mention that theirs just went up because they're turning 73. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, so
Thank
a lot
you.
of it's based, yeah, as the older you get, the higher your RMD, because your life expectancy goes down, it changes that formula. So yeah, you don't want to leave it. And also the other, just to stress, all of these things, if you choose CWS as your beneficiary for a stock gift, an IRA gift, or in your last will and testament, using this tool, it really helps us as an organization because then we know your wishes. A lot of times if you don't use this tool and you just work with your financial advisor and we don't find out, and either we don't find out until after you're gone, so we can't tell you all the great things that your legacy is making for us now, but also with those stock and IRA gifts, we have to do a lot of Sherlock Holmes researching to figure out what your wishes were. So that's another really important point for using one of these tools.
And did I understand, did I hear clearly too, that if it comes from free will, if it comes from the stocks and the IRAs of this stuff, they can designate it to something. Whereas if they pass away and we get it 6 months from now and we do all that researching, we might not necessarily know that water was where they wanted it to go.
Yeah, well, typically if you put that in your will, we'd know either way. I guess
okay.
It's more the QCDs and the stock gifts that often we don't get information about. Sometimes we don't even get the name of the donor. So we'll get a check from Fidelity or Vanguard, or we'll get the stock certificates from IBM stock, and it doesn't have the name, and so we have to do a lot of work to try to figure out who that was. I mean, my mom gave a stock gift to her diocese, and she said, "This is the biggest gift I've ever gotten, and no one has called me, no one has said anything." And I said, "Mom, maybe you should call them, because if you didn't tell them, they may not know." And sure enough, her financial advisor just sent the stock, transferred the stock, and there wasn't information about her name. And so that's why it's really important to fill out these forms.
It really is, because the one thing that any nonprofit's going to want to do is thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And Heather, thank you for bringing that up. As people working alongside these wonderful people who are giving, it's our job to make sure that your intent is fulfilled, and where you want to give your donation to is where we will make sure it's applied, and where it will make a tangible difference for many, many years to come.
Well, that's it on my end.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everybody. And we'll also make sure we have Chris and the contact information both for Chris and for myself, so that if you have questions afterwards, or as you start to investigate any of these ways to give, that you can reach out to us as well. Great. Have a good one.
You all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.